Hey, BassGeek here, and today I'm going to tell you why picking the right swim bait during the wintertime will make all the difference. What's up, geeks, man? I appreciate you guys watching. As I always say, hey, the best way to support the channel is make sure you're part of that 100% watch squad. Man, I appreciate you guys. As a matter of fact, we even put a shirt out. It's called the Catch More Fish shirt. It's a pretty cool shirt. I've got it on under here. You can't see it. And it's a little cold out here today. But make sure you go check it out. Hit BassGeekFishing.com and make sure you go to the gear. We've got everything from shorts to water bottles to tumblers to t-shirts, hoodies, and the cool new shirt, which will only be on sale until the end of December. So if it's after the end of December, you done missed it. Now, let's talk about swim baits. Probably the #1 bait you can throw during the wintertime is a swim bait. I mean, coming from me, you're probably going to think I would say that anytime, and you'd probably be right. The #1 bait you can throw 99.9% of the time is going to be a swim bait. But all that being said, during the wintertime, there's a certain group of swim baits that just seem to shine when no others do. And I'm going to talk to you really today about what makes the difference. What's the difference between a good wintertime swim bait and one that you should probably save for warmer water? So what does make one swim bait during the wintertime better than another? A lot of it just comes down to action in the water. You've heard me talk a lot about this, even when I talk about Alabama rigs and choosing the right bait for the right species for the right conditions. So choosing the right single swim bait is just as important. Now, this is going to be a pretty short, sweet video. Not really going to talk a whole lot about retrieves, but we are going to talk about 2 or 3 different styles or body styles of swim baits and what makes one better than the other. So if you guys have fished a lot during the late fall and early winter, really when the water temps again drop down for me into that 40 degrees, this little bait right here, which is the Kitech Swing Impact, is really a incredible bait to get bit this time of year. Put a light hook on it. You know, a lot of times, and I'm not going to get into the details, I've got this pretty much in 100 videos, and we'll do a detailed wintertime swim bait video as we go. But you put a small, anywhere from a 1/4, an 1/8, all the way up to a 1/2 and a 3/4. And this little 3.3 inch is probably one of the most deadly wintertime baits you can throw if you fish it correctly. We'll talk a little bit about retrieve, okay? Now, what makes it really any different than this? One of my favorite swim baits in the world. This, you know, you can tell it's super soft. It's a great swim bait. And not to say that Ramsey baits or any other bait won't catch them. It will. There's just a little bit of subtlety that I prefer this time of year. By the way, Ramsey makes some rib swim baits too that are super crazy soft. Links will be in the description for all this, okay? But I do tend to go away from this style, what I call a smooth body during the winter time. So let's talk about the differences between smooth body and soft bodies. You can see, and this one is actually really close, and I'll fish this one, the Ramsey's style body, well into the winter, well into the cold water. Like a day like today when the air temperatures aren't that cold, you know, we're in the 50s, this is still going to get a great wiggle. But it does tend to drop off, and it's because of the tail. See how the tail is squared off? It's got more of that Kitech style boot tail. But these baits, one of the reasons why I love them is because it's a very square body. You can see a very thin body, and during the summertime, it's got a very tight shimmy and wiggle and look super natural. Whereas opposed to this, you can see it has a ton of plastic back through the tail and a ton of plastic on the tail. But as these baits get colder, they get stiffer. Now, this bait, your what I call hollow bodies, this is a hollow belly, but a solid swim bait. This is a hollow body. It's hollow way from front to back, hollow all the way from front to back. It has a lot of body roll and a lot of kick. And in cold water, looks a little less natural and really is moving too much. That tends to slow down though also in the cold water because of the thickness of the tail. So let's talk about what I consider a great wintertime baits. Number one, I downsize a lot. And that's not completely true. So like your Huddlestons, your big boot tails, they are great. And the reason why they're great is because they have just the tiniest bit of plastic between it and that big heavy boot tail, and you can slow roll them. That is the key to wintertime swim bait fishing. You think you have to fish them slow during the summer, wintertime, you are literally dragging baits, okay? It is painful how slow you have to fish them. But like the KVD, let's look at this. This is the KVD Swim and Shiner. This is a great one. And I mean, you can see, look at the tiny, look how the tail tapers off. Look how it's got that straight tail. Look how little bit of plastic that is. And just look how that tail comes around to the side. So this one has got some great action to it at slow speeds. And that's the keys, guys, really super ultra slow speed. The Kitech Easy Shiner. This is a 4.5, a little bigger than I'd fish right about now. But again, I mean, look at that tail, how it just leans over right now. I mean, it's just so soft, so subtle. And you'll notice I don't fish these baits a whole lot in the summertime. Any of these baits I don't fish up past, say, the spawn. Right around the spawn, I don't fish these baits a whole lot at all, unless I'm around smallmouth. And then I'll fish them, but even then, once the water really warms up, you know, and here's, of course, like I said, the classic, which is the Swing Impact Fat. And this thing, to me, this and the Swing Impact is, you know, just two of the best wintertime styles. These rib styles, you know, you can do the Rage Swimmer also, but this has just the most action. Now, they're going to tear up like crazy, and they're not cheap, but they're going to catch you a ton of bass. And like I said, it all comes down to how the tail moves. All right, guys, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about rod reel and line setup during the winter time. You know, this is kind of my go-to finesse. This is an Akuma shaky head. It's a 7-foot, and I can fish 1/8 to a 1/2 ounce. It's a great little finesse rod. This is the TCS 7-foot medium fast action. We got a little 1/4 ounce head on there. And of course, this is my Lew's Custom Pro, and that is K9 braid to K9 Pro 100 fluorocarbon, because I want this on the bottom and I want to be able to feel every little bump with it. So when do I make the switch from those summertime baits over to my more finessey, more wintertime softer baits? Definitely once the temps reach down into the 50s. And once you get down to 55 degrees, absolutely I'm making that change. Now, you get some warm-ups, sure, pull out those other baits. But even like the Kitechs, like I've got the big 7-8 inch Kitechs, and they are great for big wintertime bass. If you don't have or really can't afford the Huddlestons or the Savage Gear style, get those out, put them on a big beast hook, and look for those deep bass and have a dang good time. So let's talk a little bit about how I like to fish them. And like I said, this is really, there's just so many different ways. But I love these channel swing areas, the long points with some rock on them. And basically what I do is I send it out there. I let it sink to the bottom. I reel up the slack and give it just a little pop. I keep my rod tip high, and basically I slow roll it down. If I feel it hit the bottom, I give it a little pop. I'm not touching the bottom at times. Again, I'm just popping that bait and I'm slowing down. I want this bait to really contour back to me until I find out how deep the fish are. It's a lot like the tight lining thing. You know, we're just going down this bank and we're just keeping this bait barely off the bottom. As I've said, painfully slow. As we reel it in. That really is the way that that I fish these things, and it's the way I fish them anywhere, whether I'm either on a point like that over there, or over there, or on a channel swing like this right here. And you know, again, this time of year, I'm looking for these types of areas right here that really have those big flat rocks. Because a lot of times I know there can be some bass sitting here in hiding. Remember guys, during the winter time, I do love a finesse swim bait, but it doesn't have to be finesse. Once you get into the coldest months, man, go pick you up some of these in like the 6, 7, 8, however big they come. I got some, we're gonna do an unboxing on it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And slow roll those bad boys through those big schools out deep. You won't believe the big bass you're gonna catch. Listen, I know I told you the other day about the cheat code tight lining. This is right there with it. This is a cheat code for the winter time. This, a finesse jig, and that tight lining technique, you're gonna catch them all winter long, I promise you. But the biggest key if you're starting out, I'm telling you, pay very close attention to the swim baits that I have in the description. Those are where you want to start. Start with that Contact Swing Fat Impact. Compare everything else by how soft that tail is. Slow. I always tell everybody this. Think about what you see from bait fish in the summer. It's why I like the tighter wiggle of the slick body swim baits. They're tighter. When you see a bass or a bluegill or a shad during the summertime, it's almost like their body shakes, almost like their tail don't even move. But during the wintertime, if you see them up shallow, they got that little bit of flutter to their tail. That's when that's important. So questions and comments in the comment section below. You guys know I love to talk fishing with you. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell, because like I say, you can follow everything else. You can buy BassGeek apparel, but watching the videos is the best way to support the channel. Thank you guys, and you have been burning it up here lately. By the way, guys, don't be afraid to ask for what you want to see. I mean, I'm doing this for you all, so what do you want to see? Watch 100% Watch Squad. Love you guys, and as always, you guys rock.